I'd like to call the meeting in order. If you'd stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Gett?
Present.
Trustee Kazam?
Present.
Trustee Goff?
Present.
Trustee Wigginton?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Present.
All right, good to see everyone. Welcome everyone in the audience and welcome everyone watching from home. We would be at approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting on April 4th, 2023. I'd ask for a motion.
Make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We'll be at comments from the audience. If anyone is here tonight to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Welcome. Sure.
Hello, my name is Mary Beth Nabel. I'm the owner of I Know You Like a Book, the bookstore at 4707 Prospect Road here in Peoria Heights. And I'm here today to invite you all to a party tomorrow. And that's at the Peoria Heights High School, and it is the book launch party for the second year. The Peoria Heights Arts Collaborative Literary Committee has collaborated with the Peoria High School students to publish a book of poems. This is last year's book, and I've got a number of copies for all of you. It was the first year after the students came back from COVID, so it was entitled Poetry Unmasked, and it really reflected in the poems. It was beautiful. And this one, which I only have one copy of, is In Our Words. And once again, I think the students did an incredible job writing the poems. The collaboration is more than just the Fine Arts Committee giving funds to get the book published. We have a committee that has both business people, Sean, the head of the library, residents here in Peoria, and professional poets. And we have the students write the poems, submit them. There's no guarantee that they get published in the book. And we go through and evaluate upwards of 70 poems to see which ones qualify to get in there. And so we always have something special when it's done. This is the second year we're doing it. The biggest compliment I always get is when people come up to me and say, and let's do this next year. So we hope this is a continuing project. It's something that the kids can remember all their lives. They can put on their college application, they are a published poet. It's really an extraordinary kind of thing. The book launch party is tomorrow at 6 p.m. It lasts about an hour. There's awards for the top poems given. There's refreshments. The students come, their families come, and it's a very, very exciting thing. The books will also be available for purchase, both at the high school and at my store, and it's a $20 donation to the Arts Collaborative. So I encourage you all to not only come and celebrate with the students, but to buy the book and to tell others about it too. It's a great, great project. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for being here. We love you and we love your business, and thank you for all the community work you do.
Oh, thank you. It's always fun. I've got, sorry I don't have enough, I've got 9 of the old ones, and I'm going to leave them here. You're welcome to take one to see what it's like, but this one you have to buy.
Mike, I'm sure you'll get something special written up about this then. Thank you.
Here, we'll just...
Anyone else there? Yes, sir. Mr. Bean, welcome.
Yes.
Good evening. I'm here to start off by saying thank you for allowing us to display the Lions logo signs at the entrance points to the village. And I want to make sure everybody's invited to the Peoria Heights Earth Day Garden Party and Celebration. The Lions Club will be participating in the event I believe we're going to be handing out flowers to decorate the sculpture with. Unfortunately, me, the wife, and a few of the other members will be in Rock Island for our district convention in hopes that I will be elected district governor for next year. And as district governor, I will be traveling all the way up to I-80, clear west to Quad Cities, and down to Astoria. So it's quite a big area that I'll be participating and governing. So just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. And Peoria Heights Suburban Lions Club name will be traveling along with me. So.
Well, good luck in the election. We got a few people around the table that know a thing or two about running elections.
Yeah.
Need to take them along.
If I need a campaign manager. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for all you do. Anyone else? Public comment going once, twice. Public comments closed. Would be at old business. Any old business come for the board?
I have a bit of old business. Let everybody know that Peoria Dog Park Rock has been upgraded. It is open, it is available to use, and we are currently waiting on a couple parts for the water fountain that will be operational soon for the dogs to drink out of.
Thank you very much. Thanks for getting that done real quickly. Any other old business? Hearing none, we'll get right into new business. There are 3 items. The first is approval of ordinance 2023-1704, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a BDD number 1 redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Peoria Heights and Busted Brewing Company, LLC. Trustee Kazam, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Go ahead, Trustee Kazam.
This is a ordinance approving monies to be used for Busted Brewery, one of the newest businesses in our village. The ask is for $4,471 or not to exceed that for exterior improvements, including their signage. They are here this evening if they have any comments.
Welcome. Anything you'd like to add?
We don't have any comments unless you guys have questions.
We're open for questions. Any discussion?
I really like the setup of this. I want to thank staff for the way this was designed. I think this is the first that I've seen this way designed before, so I appreciate the way this was set up. I think this is a model going forward, so my compliments to staff. Of course, I support this business. I think we've had them here a few times, so but this setup is interesting, and I like this moving forward. So congrats to staff and Trustee Kazam and her committee on this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
That passes. Thank you folks for being here. Thanks for bringing your business here. So keep up the good work. Next is approval of Resolution 2023-6, a resolution approving proposal from the National Fitness Campaign for equipment for outdoor fitness court. Trustee Weisenberg, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2023-06.
In a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee Weisenberg.
All right, I apologize in advance. I haven't had an opportunity to discuss this in depth with the majority of the board, so I do apologize for that. Briefly, I'm going to explain the project and the costs of it, and then, Mayor, I would just like to open it up for general discussions on the proposal. Several months ago, we were approached by a National Fitness Campaign, which is an organization that aims to bring fitness courts to communities all over the United States. I think there's one in Lincoln and in Ottawa, which are probably the closest ones. And basically, it's an aim by this organization to, like I had previously said, to bring fitness to the masses. They team up with local health providers. There's a lot on their website, but in this area, they teamed up with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois to try to reduce the cost of this fitness campaign. So the cost, and thanks Wayne for a lot of the heavy lifting you did on getting these numbers, but the fitness court itself was $155,000. minus the $50,000 incentive or grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which brought that cost for their program down to $105,000. And then the installation came in at roughly $27,000. And then the concrete pad, which is 30 by 30, we went out for 2 proposals on that. One came in at $37,000, the other $35,000, and the other came in at $15,000. And then during that meeting with the mayor and Superintendent Chandler, we also identified some fencing that could be, the fencing around Lions Park is a chain link fence that does not look very well. So we had briefly discussed that there was other site improvements that needed done, some sidewalks, some ramps, some fencing. But the core cost for the program, including just the program, the installation and the concrete pad, is $147,000. And then we had an allowance for site improvements. So I guess my initial question to my fellow board members is, do you guys have any questions regarding this proposal? I know I've spoke with Trustee Kazam and Trustee DeVore so far. I think I briefly spoke with Trustee Gett a couple weeks ago on the idea, but I didn't get down into the details. So I guess at this point I'll open it up for discussion, and then I'll have a few comments afterwards.
Well, I know you and I spoke before, Trustee Weisenberg. I don't know that I have questions because you were very forthcoming about answering the questions that you could answer, but I'm concerned about maybe not having enough time or enough information to really weigh in on making a decision like this evening. We do have $1 million surplus, but we have a lot of needs in the village, and while I think this is a great initiative in general and really touches the community, I don't know that that's the best use for those monies at this time. I certainly want to see the parks improved, but I just feel like I need a little bit more time for it.
And I'd like to interject, it's before you tonight. I'd like to have a good discussion about it. If people aren't comfortable, I'd be open to a motion to defer, but let's please at least continue down the path of getting information. So thank you, Trustee Kazam. Do you have anything else?
No, nothing from me.
All right. Anyone else?
I agree with Trustee Kazam that, improving our parks is a good idea. I also agree that I don't feel that maybe we've had enough information, or maybe that this is the best use just off the top of our heads of, I'm sorry, Brandon, was 147,000?
Yeah, we had like an allowance for site improvements, but that necessarily wasn't, I don't think that was crucial to the park. It was just some things that we wanted to do. Ramps, sidewalks, none of those were.
Yeah.
I think, ramps, I think, pretty, this is an allowance. And
Right.
I think park standards require some separation, so the fence was something that was highly recommended, maybe a standard, because to separate the other play equipment from the fitness equipment.
Right.
And then we just threw in ramps because, just for accessibility purposes.
Right.
Okay, well, I was
147 is the base cost, and
Gotcha.
then with possibly some allowance for general site improvement, fencing.
Right, okay. I don't know, I'm a little conservative about things like this, I guess. I look around the community. I was involved as an employee here for more than 40 years, and I see a lot in Peoria Heights of maintenance items that have been neglected, not through the fault of this board, certainly, but in the past, and we are very, very far behind on maintenance. And I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing this as clearly as I should because I haven't had enough time to digest, but this looks like we're taking on another maintenance item at Lions Park. And like I said, I don't want to come across as I'm against fitness. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great park improvement, but I look out there and there's $147,000 will do a lot for curb and gutters and sidewalks and street improvement and our water system and things like that. And I don't know, do we have this, I guess my understanding would be that is it a specifically budgeted? We have the money set aside for this? Because that would, I suppose, make a difference. Do we know? Is the money set aside for this?
Several meetings ago, the mayor had tasked us with finding
Okay.
a use for the surplus.
Mhm.
And this was
Gotcha.
one of the projects we had thought to consider.
Okay, I understood. I guess at this point, I don't feel like I'm prepared to go ahead with this, just considering the outlay of that money, when I can look around and see a lot of infrastructure that needs to be improved.
Trustee Weisenberg, do we have any kind of idea what the maintenance on this fitness equipment would be?
I think Mr. Aldridge had touched on that a little bit.
There is some, when I talk to the folks in Lincoln, sometimes there's recommended improvements to it, or, they have with the actual equipment. So there is a purchase of that equipment, if it needs to be maintained or upgraded, that type of thing. Also, there's wraps and other things on this, meaning signage and things that, just standard kind of maintenance. When I saw the equipment in Lincoln, I visited Lincoln, it looked very durable, looked like a great type of installation with, standard type maintenance for something like this. So that would be my comments at this point.
I was trying to look online and on their website to see, but so what is, I'm assuming most of it is metal?
Yes, the workout kind of equipment is metal. There's this wall that they talk about. A lot of the equipment is attached to this wall. And again, to me, it's fairly substantial metal, equipment that's very durable. Then there is a rubber surfacing. They call them tiles, but typical of other playground rubberized surfacing, which, eventually may need some maintenance.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Wayne, we had also talked about fundraising too. Have you given that any more thought?
There is. This particular company does kind of follow through, whereas some companies, you buy it and here it is. They assist with some of the other installations, and they do, continue with some, I guess for lack of a better term, ownership of the installation. But part of what comes with this is they don't really solicit for, fitness people, things like that. They give advice on that. But in some cases, there is a hospital or fitness center that would provide trainers on this equipment that would be encouraged, to reach out to these people for training. And then there's also encouragement for fundraising for something like this. Maybe this is kind of late for fundraising, maybe not. But hospitals in particular have funding available for these types of things to increase fitness, that type of thing. So that's a typical funding source that may be available.
Did we ever hear back from St. Francis when we reached out to them? Did we reach out to St. Francis?
No, actually we didn't.
Is this Blue Cross Blue Shield grant tied to this particular footprint of a park, or could there be maybe a different type of thing that we go for, maybe more cost efficient, that $50,000 could still go to?
My understanding is it's tied to this, the National Fitness Campaign.
Got it.
It's their grant. But not to say that other programs, for example, we got another proposal for another fitness type court. Not to say that there couldn't be a similar situation with grants from, say, OSF or
Carl.
other groups, Carl, or, with some resource put to that, some fundraising, so not to say that couldn't happen.
Anyone else? Trustee Weisenberg, I think I'm going to ask you for a motion to defer for all of us to get more information and allow you and I and Wayne to dialogue with the other trustees Before I ask for that motion, I don't disagree with anything that's been said here tonight, and I think we've focused an awful lot over the last couple of years on finances, and rightfully so. It's a nice problem to have, to decide what to do with the $1 million surplus, and I couldn't agree with Trustee Goff more, the need for infrastructure. We all recognize that. We just heard the Woodard and Curran report. But I do want to mention that we said that we were very concerned about neighborhoods and parks, and we created this committee a couple of years ago and appointed you chair of that committee. There hasn't been a lot of money invested, in my opinion, in the parks and the neighborhoods. So I would like us to keep an open mind to see if there's a way that we can either scale this down or find a way to support it. I think it's very important in a lot of ways. Again, it reaffirms our commitment to the parks, which is a quality of life issue, and to the neighborhoods to strengthen and stabilize the neighborhoods, and this neighborhood is an important neighborhood. But it also is a gateway in two ways into the village, a gateway from Glen Avenue and a gateway from what I call a highway, the Rock Island Trail, into the village of Peoria Heights. I think it would make a terrific statement, not only about the community, but it makes a statement for the neighborhood, and I think it'd be something for the residents as well as the neighbors to be very proud of. So I hope we give this a little bit more thought. And at this point, unless you have anything else to say, I'd ask for a motion to defer until you and I agree to put it back on the agenda.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. I move to defer approval of 2023-6.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wiggington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that is deferred. Thank you all for the thoughtful discussion on that. Next is approval of fiscal year 2023-2024 budget for the Village of Peoria Heights and the Peoria Heights Public Library. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget for the Village of Peoria Heights and the Public Library.
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee DeVore. Anything you'd like to highlight?
No, everything on the papers in front of you is exactly what you've seen since the last time we reviewed it. Nothing has changed. So our last meeting, we did talk and got the budget from the library and their levy, and then ours has not changed, so just as you should expect it.
Any questions or discussion?
My understanding is this levy for the Village of Peoria Heights is roughly about $1,700 lower than it was last year. Is that right? Roughly?
Yes.
So that's a good thing. I'm glad we're able to remain focused on our finances, and lowering a property tax levy is always a good thing.
Well said, and I think we all agree with that.
Well, I certainly would. And I think that, I think Trustee Weisenberg is absolutely right. And I think with the, we talk about a lot of infrastructure needs and things like that, but I also think with $1 million surplus, we remain committed, as we are showing with this budget, to fiscal responsibility and potentially returning some of that to our tax base as well.
Here, here.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg? Sorry, Trustee Wiggington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Steal your thunder. Aye.
I wasn't looking, I have to look. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Next would be a payment of the bills. I would ask for motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to pay the bills. Any question on any of the bills? Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wiggington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right. Next is the treasurer's report. Madam Clerk?
As of the end of the month of March, in the village-controlled accounts, there was $7,365,610.77. In the water-controlled accounts, there was $2,122,545.18.
You've heard the treasurer's report. I would ask for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions on the report or discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Goff.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
The treasurer's report is approved. Forgive me, I did not place miscellaneous business on the agenda, but I'm going to ask for it, and I'm going to look first to Mr. Aldridge. You've heard a little bit about some good news, but I'm going to ask him to expand on that and give a little bit more detail.
The first you may not know about, but we've been waiting for this a long time. Last year, with the Chamber of Commerce, we applied for a Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Tourism and Festivals grant for about $16,000 to support the festivals in the Heights. So we were awarded that money, so that's excellent news. And it's kind of, it pays for some of the events that were already held because that was the way it was set up, and it will also pay for the arts fair portions of that, this year. So very excited to announce that. Very appreciated to Teresa and Barb at the Peoria Heights Chamber of Commerce for their help, and Mike Bailey for his help in submitting that application. So that's one we've been waiting for a while, and happy to announce that we did receive that funding. Several weeks ago, about a month ago, I believe, our members of Congress announced the annual appropriations request. So this is similar to the Congressman LaHood's appropriation that he announced at $2 million for Prospect Road. This is another round of that. So we applied for water main on Galena Road, Route 29. So the ask was, we'd identified that in our water capital plan, but also as IDOT is looking to replace the road, it's logical that we would replace the water main before they replace the road, so we're not ripping up a new road to replace old water main. So that was the gist of our ask for to our representatives. So we submitted applications. They're all similar funding, but through the Senate, it's called congressionally directed spending. We don't call it earmarks anymore, but it's congressionally directed spending. So we applied through both Senator Durbin and Duckworth's office. And in the House, it's called community project funding. So we applied for actually through Congressman LaHood's office and Congressman Sorensen's office as well. So our first communication with Congressman Sorensen's office. So we applied, and then our federal funding consultants, Cardinal Infrastructure, set up a couple of calls with us. We talked with Senator Durbin's office, talked to the downstate director and several of his staff on a Zoom call specifically about this grant. And I think, they were interested in our request. And also we're on a call with Congressman Sorensen's office and the representative that works on this type of funding, and very new for their office, of course. They're recently elected, so that was interesting. But very, Cardinal Infrastructure was very helpful and very in setting up these calls. We got good response from both. Senator Durbin's office are very interested, and Congressman Sorensen's office just yesterday announced that they were going to recommend our project to the Appropriations Committee. So that's the first step. But again, Senator Durbin's also very interested in our project. And we make a couple of, not just that it's a good infrastructure project, but there are, we also said there's an equity issue. We have the top of the bluff and the bottom of the bluff. So that's a big consideration in most of the federal grants, especially this year, is that equity argument. So I think we effectively made that argument on this project. So remains to be seen. Usually if it gets through appropriations in the House, then Senator Durbin, can back off a little bit, is my understanding. But still, it seems like all our representatives would support this project. But there's still many hurdles to get through, and ultimately the big bill has to pass. that last year waited until about the last minute to pass through Congress. So again, very positive about the grant, but also very positive about the relationships that we're starting to develop with these offices, and that's really one of the most important things with our delegation. So basically that's it. I don't know, Mary, you may have more on this, but I think very positive.
Well, thanks for the update, but I have to acknowledge both you and Mike. These are highly competitive efforts. You think of Senator Durbin statewide, so many communities in Illinois, and Congressman Sorensen's district, they told us they had, I think, literally hundreds of requests for not a lot of money to go around as big as his district is. And Wayne does all the technical work, and Mike always writes the narrative, and that makes it so much easier for us because they do a really good job at that. So I'm excited. I hate to admit, I missed Congressman Sorensen's call the other day. I called him back, and he was unavailable. So we're trying to make contact, and I have invited him to visit Peoria Heights when his schedule permits, and to drop by Village Hall. So I did extend my appreciation from all of us to him. So we're looking forward to getting to know him better. And I'm optimistic Senator Durbin's going to follow through too. They told us they liked what we had submitted. So. Any questions on this process?
Is the spending tied to the debt ceiling discussions? Is that all in one?
Not from my standpoint, but it could be certainly debated.
Okay.
I think I think my answer would be no.
Okay.
Not directly, but
Okay.
certainly they can make that argument.
All right. I have other miscellaneous, but not regarding this.
All right, anyone else on this? All right, go ahead, Trustee Weisenberg.
Thanks, Mayor. Chief Sutton and the village board, we absolutely need to do something about the amount of speeding in the village of Peoria Heights. I constantly get complaints from constituents. As we all know, the cut-through traffic is, I don't know, I categorize it as horrendous, but we're all aware of the cut-through traffic. We're all aware of the excessive speed. I think the police department does an absolutely fabulous job on running radar. As I understand, we issue the most tickets in the Tri-County area, with maybe one exception of Peoria, I don't know. But unfortunately, we have a lot of miles and a lot of streets, and obviously we can't put that entire burden on the police department to be everywhere at once. It's not possible. So what I would like the village to do is immediately price portable speed humps. That I know there was some concerns about having permanent speed bumps that in the winter they tear up the snow plows, which is a legitimate concern. But traffic is not going to slow down unless we absolutely put something in their way that they have to slow down. I know a lot of communities use portable speed humps. You lay them down, they're rubber, and they absolutely are horrible to drive over. You've got to slow down. You cannot hit those things going 30, 40 miles an hour. I would entertain other ideas on how to get people to slow down, but we know the cut-through traffic. We know the streets they do it on. I think the solution is simple, to put something in their way that they absolutely have to slow down. I know obviously they're not free, but I think they're pretty inexpensive compared to putting in a concrete speed bump. We could move them in target areas, and I think it would go a long way to showing the citizens of Peoria Heights that we hear you. We know the neighborhoods are often cut through traffic going from one side of Peoria to the other, but we've got to have a proactive approach outside of just ticketing, which I think you guys do a wonderful job at. But we've got to think of a way. Maybe there's a better way to stop people from speeding. But in my estimation, the only way to stop them is to put something in their way.
Well, I was just going to say that Trustee Weisenberg and I had this conversation earlier today, and of course, we hear this from our residents all the time. I echo everything that you said, and I would be willing to work with you to try to find some kind of a solution that we could present to the board and speak with our Public Works Department and kind of understand better. Admittedly, I know very little about this. I did do some limited investigation on these temporary speed bumps. I don't know exactly how easy it is to install and then, uninstall them. So I feel like we need more information, but we do need to calm traffic.
Anyone else?
I just had questions on do you know how easy they are to remove them? Because would it be something that a resident could pick them up and, damage them or move them
No,
or
I think they're
whatever?
somehow like bolted into that's what it appeared to.
I think they're pretty heavy. I mean, they're durable enough that cars can run over them every day. I've never tried to move one, admittedly.
Sure.
But they seem pretty, have you ever seen them installed before?
No, I haven't, but if they are solid rubber, I'm sure they weigh several hundred pounds.
Yeah, I don't think someone could, no, I
Describe
had a
them
lawn
as
chair stolen
recycled
once, but
rubber.
Right.
Do you know roughly how much each one costs?
we looked at that a little bit this afternoon.
It really was surprisingly inexpensive. Now, obviously, we'd have to look at each one of these streets. I mean, our streets, some of them are only 12 feet wide, so, it depends on what streets we're looking at. But from what we saw today, it was affordable. And this is another reason, going back to the first agenda item this evening, I think there are so many different things that we need to take into consideration in our community that we really need to drill down on how we want to spend this money.
Wayne, are you familiar with these at all?
I've installed these in a parking lot area, so they do bolt down, they're heavy rubber, although they can be damaged and displaced. I mean, if they're left in too long, there always is some maintenance associated with them, but I assume if they're, there's a certain period you leave them in, take them up over the winter, and I'm sure there's a better product now than what we did, 10 years ago.
All the comments I've gotten from the citizens, and I hear this constantly, they're always complimentary on the police department. They think the police department does an awesome job, but they understand the logistics of being everywhere. I know Chief Sutton has been very responsive to moving the speed trailer around, but as he'll probably contest, I won't want to speak for him, you move it to one area and everyone speeds that way. So we know the cut-through streets. Hopefully we could use these to target some of those areas.
I would, sorry to interrupt, but I know that it had been mentioned about putting a stop sign at Cox in Illinois.
Yep.
I know I don't know exactly what areas you're talking about. I know there's some stretches, in my opinion, that just could simply use a stop sign.
Right.
A four-way stop, like for instance, Hines and Monroe. There are 2 schools on that road. In my opinion, there's no reason for there not to be a stop sign at every major intersection there. There are T roads, that's not a problem, but if there's a 4-way stop, I think we could install some stop signs and slow some traffic down. Like I said, it depends on the area that they're in.
Yes. Sorry, Chief. I was going to touch on the stop signs next. We put one in my yard at the corner of Francis and Glen Elm. Maybe 30% of the cars stop. They don't even slow down. Some of them do, so I am appreciative that they slow down at least. But one of the common complaints is people don't stop at the stop signs either.
Right.
I see it up here at Prospect constantly, the flashing one at Marietta. I mean, you get cars, they just don't even stop. So I think there's a lot of inconsiderate drivers out there. I think society as a whole has gotten worse regarding their concern for pedestrians and children. And so no, I agree there should be a stop sign, but and hopefully we'd stop maybe 30% of the traffic. But I do think the portable speed humps would go a long way to at least slow people down.
A few years ago, down in my old neighborhood there at Atlantic and Cox, there wasn't a stop sign there. And, I mean, they had a straight shot from Prospect straight on down to Monroe. That was the next stop sign, and then that made a heck of a difference. But you get some people that just want to yield through that stop sign and not. But stop signs is a very good idea. It really, at least make them slow down.
Right, yeah, they may not stop all the way, but it has slowed them down.
Well, it does.
The one you had put in over there, down the neighborhood I'm in now, they slow down, and then when they get down to my road, they kind of curve right on around, and it's like they're, wait a minute, I stopped here, now it's time to accelerate a little bit, but it does, the stop sign is a valid choice. I think it'll work a lot, you know.
A couple months ago, we discussed a handful of locations that we wanted to add stop signs. I think we need to revisit that again, and that's really an easy fix. Trustee Weisenberg is correct in his statistics as far as the amount of citations that we issue, compared to other agencies, large and small. But another thing you have to take account for is also our call load. Our call load for a small department is higher than a lot of departments, triple our size. So, I know it's a juggling act, but I'm proud, as you stated, that our guys do write a lot of citations, a lot of traffic enforcement. In fact, I don't know anybody else our size has a dedicated traffic car. So as far as long-term goals, you're exactly right. We can't be everywhere. As soon as we pull an officer off an area, the other area starts complaining that there's no enforcement. So I guess, as the police chief, I know we have a surplus. I guess one argument could be we could add more officers, but I think we have other issues. So, whatever, I'm open to whatever we can do to slow down traffic, because it is an ongoing battle. It's kind of like code enforcement. It's like a lot of different issues our guys deal with. So if that's what the board thinks, I'm doing a little bit more research on my end to find out, like, policy-wise on how often those are rotated, what it takes to rotate them. I think that's what I would like to know, because if we're just going to throw them in one area for a month, I'm not sure how effective that's going to be. Something a little bit more portable, I think, would probably be better. But we can discuss that. But I think we should start by discussing the stop signs, which we did a couple months ago, and go back to that, because there are some straight shots that are going to make an immediate impact. So,
Right. Yeah. I think possibly there's some on Galena Road which are state, but, speed limit flashing signs that flash when you're speeding,
Right.
Once again, not everybody pays attention to those, but if you see a light flashing, you might go, oh, well,
Right.
And not everybody may not be intentionally speeding as well,
Right.
but, they get in an open stretch and there's nothing stopping them,
Right, jam into the music and just drive. No, I get it. One of the other things I had noticed, I think I was in Brentwood, Missouri. I believe it was Brentwood, so they had like a main thoroughfare, let's say Knoxville, but they didn't allow right-hand turns during certain times. It was during the rush hour. They did not allow cut-through traffic to make that turn. I don't know if the laws are the same in Illinois. I don't know if we can do that. But they did it during rush hour, and it saved those neighborhoods from all that rush hour traffic. Obviously, some of that would come down to enforcement. But I think having those signs there, if we can do that.
I think for Hallborough, we can do that, can't we, Council?
Or we can do that anyway.
Yeah. I think having that sign there may discourage those that do follow the signs, even if we cut it down 50%.
Well, down there on Western, go down Western, just before what used to be Junior's and stuff, you can't make left turns onto like Moss and stuff like that. So I believe that is something that can be looked into. It's already done in Peoria.
I don't know which roads we could do it. I don't know which roads it would make sense on, but the sign clearly said between, I think it was 8 and 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, there was no left-hand turns under those streets. I think that could be a possibility of helping to tame some of that cut-through traffic.
Because I think the ones down on Western, they're set at during when they're going to school and when they're getting out of school. And those roads, you can't turn onto those roads, and it cuts down on the amount of traffic going through those neighborhoods. And it's always around when school gets out and when school is getting in, so.
Right. Between, the possibility of mobile speed humps, the addition of stop signs, maybe some alternate routes during certain times, I just think we need to act aggressively on the traffic calming, because we all know it's often a hot topic, and I think we can go a long way with helping the police department solve this issue.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing it up. I think we're all interested and serious about doing everything we can. It sounds like it's a multifaceted approach. I'd like the idea of you and Trustee Kazam working together, so I'm going to ask that you work with Chief Sutton and Public Works, and let's take it from there. There's some really easy things, as Chief Sutton mentioned, stop signs we can do right away, so please get together and report back to us then.
We will.
One thing too, Mayor, in your discussions, Trustee Kazam and Trustee Weisenberg, I would ask that you, I don't want to break Open Meetings Act issue, but if you wanted to speak with Chief Sutton as well as Chief Thompson, because, you know, these apparatuses that need to get up and down the streets and having to go over speed humps and things like that, I think that needs to be considered, as well as with Superintendent Chandler. If we have to bolt these things into the asphalt, and that's another area where things could freeze, break, things like that, I just want all of those things considered. So I appreciate Trustee Weisenberg, you taking the lead on this, as well as you, Trustee Kazam, on this, but I just want to make sure we have a full deck of cards when this comes back to us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else on miscellaneous?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to announce and invite everyone to this Saturday's Earth Day celebration at the Peoria Heights Public Library. It's a garden party and celebration celebrating local artist Preston Jackson Shirley Armstrong sculpture, which was installed last fall, I think it was. We were at the the groundbreaking ceremony there. This is a collaboration with the Lions Club and many other people, including the Arts Alliance, the library, of course, Trefskers, the Riverfront Museum, Kelly Seed, and Duran Warehouse and Flowers. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of people, a lot of kids at this event. It's a celebration for sure. There's sidewalk chalk artists, live music, food, and the hours, I guess I didn't say that. That's from 11:30 to 2:30 p.m. this Saturday, April 22nd.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone who's been working on that. Any other miscellaneous?
Mayor, I just had one thing. I was going to ask Superintendent Chandler just to touch on a topic we've talked about in the past as far as the pocket parks. He's located a couple areas that we maintain that are going to be perfect. So you want to touch on that?
Yeah, we have purchased a couple smaller swing set style playgrounds, and we have a couple options for where we might put them. We're thinking we have multiple pieces of property that we take care of in Longshore Park, for instance. We have like maybe 5 that we mow and take care of. One of those spots might be really good for a small playground for the children in that neighborhood, that there really isn't a playground that they can access easily without getting on a highway. That would be a good spot. And then we're thinking possibly by the Duryea Dog Park, we have a small little piece of property. It would be nice to have, people could take their dogs there and their children could play on this little, and like I say, they're not big, they're not elaborate like this beautiful thing they're putting over here, but they are nice, and they'll have a couple benches with them, and we're moving forward on those pocket park ideas.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we love that idea. Thank you.
Mayor, sorry, if no one else, I have one more thing that jogged my memory when we talked about properties that we own. Have we heard of any update regarding the Williams Brothers properties that we sold with the expectation that houses are built on them? I know they had a delay because of COVID, which is understandable, but in my mind, the COVID ended.
I have not had any update from the Williams brothers. Wayne, have you?
I've not, I reached out, but didn't establish any contact there, but when I did talk to them, it was, I think they would still like to build on these properties. But I think it would be time to, get their intentions down and modify the agreement.
I think I've seen some properties that Mr. Williams and Lori have rehabilitated. There's no doubt they do an awesome amount of work, but they also own a lot of vacant property, land, and I don't want those properties to become just some more land that Dave Williams owns. I really want to see houses built on those. And I know when we initially sold them to him, there was an expectation, maybe even in writing, that houses go up. So I'd really like to hold him to the fire on that. because we desperately need houses, we desperately need students, we desperately need people.
Yeah, there were some properties that he was trying to assemble right over here, which made good sense, you know, to assemble some properties together. Then there's a couple, like, as I recall, he was less interested in. So, again, there's a possibility maybe to take those back and sell them to someone who is interested in building quicker. So again, I apologize, I had that on the to-do list to get that conversation with him going.
If you'd report back to us at a future meeting, Wayne, I'd appreciate it. Thanks for bringing that up, Trustee Weisenberg. I agree, that's important to try and incentivize building of new housing stock, so. Anyone else? Trustee Gett?
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second? All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? You guys have it.
Hey, Matt.